Greetings on another awesome June day. If you're dwelling anywhere near where I am, the clouds are down, the mist's out, but somewhere above all that, the sun is shining. So not too bad. A bit of a punishment if you're living out on the east coast of the North Island, around Napier, Hastings, Gisborne way at the moment. So they're getting a bit of a punishment. So we offer our best to those who are in that condition at the moment, suffering from the tides coming in, the rain coming down, and the rivers filling up. So if you need some help, don't forget, yell out to the RSA, give us a call or something, and we can see what we can do to help you out. And good morning to you, Frank.
Good morning. Yes. Typical day of the Waikato. Miserable.
But you're smiling, and that's the key thing.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
So we're a couple of three interesting things this morning. The first one being in compiling the last post for Tahi Roberts, we've discovered that unlike Malayan veterans and unlike the Vietnam veterans, there isn't a great cache of information that we can access and draw out the service numbers and their record of service. Not being family, we can't apply to the NZ Defence Archives to get that information down. And also not being funeral directors, we can't do the same. Excuse me. But it's also important for us to have that information, a record of the person's service number and their career, so that we can pay respects, our due respects to them, and not make it a bit Mickey Mouse sounding. So if you're going to post something on Facebook where someone's passed away, try and get as much detail and information as you can, because it also helps us identify who the person is that has passed away. It's not, you might know him by a nickname, and a small group of people around you may know that nickname, but the rest of us may know him by his actual name and have no idea who it is that you're talking about. So it's important to get as much information, and also it's a check to make sure that the information is verified, that we've got the right person, and that we're not causing anybody grief within the family or the wider family or the wider veteran community, that someone that they know and worked with has passed away. So there's a bit of a quiet note to start with. And then we'll jump into something of contention. And I sent Frank a link during the week, and we'll put it up after this for you to have a look at. And it was, you might have seen it on Sunday morning, Q&A program. Jack Tame interviewing Judith Collins, the Minister of Defence. And what's your take, Frank?
Well, it just shows that I'm quite stunned, really. I knew the Defence Department of New Zealand was in pretty poor state, but it's even worse after that interview, just watching Judith there even admitting that they've currently only got one 757 flying and one C-130. Now that's a shocking state of affairs, although she did say that the attrition rate has changed for the better. But from buildings to administration, it's in a bad state. I just don't know what they're going to do to get it out of it.
It certainly looks it from the outside. And yes, she made mention that we've got a couple of Poseidon. I'm not sure whether it's 2 or 3 that the government's bought. And I see that they were put to use, one of them was put to use yesterday off the coast of Gisborne, looking for those 3 fishermen that went missing, and dropped a life raft to an area where 2 of them were last seen. But that's not much of a capability when we need to move troops and or materials from one part of New Zealand to another, or between here in Australia or anywhere out into the Pacific. Yes, we do have some Hercules coming, but the question is raised, I guess, is once we get, I think it's 5 Hercules
5, yeah.
5 new Hercules on the ground, will we have the crew to man them?
Mm.
So we're going through this. Yes, attrition has slowed from 30% down to 9%.
9%.
But when you've already lost 30%, 9% more, does that make nearly 40%?
Yeah.
Which
And the
is,
main loss is between the important people of the NCOs, right in the middle there.
yep. And I think that's a lot of it from what I've gleaned from talking to people is the backlash from the MIQ.
Yeah.
So people who joined up there, they were in that era were basically security guards for a couple of years, and that's not what they joined the services for. And perhaps I do have some uh, communication with a young guy who left post MIQ, who's now studying at Canterbury University. So I might see if we can get him on and have a chat to him as to his reasoning behind leaving and what he's doing with his life now. So that's an interesting one about the whole state of NZ Defence. And I see Judith Collins was passing the buck a bit to Chris Pink. He's responsible for the estate, so all the buildings and the land that goes with the NZ Defence real estate. He's got the hard job of trying to bring that up to speed. And I know from a personal experience, I wandered into Burnham Camp, I think it was last year sometime, and the old headquarters was still there, the building was still there, but double glazed heat pumps everywhere, and it was nice new carpet and all the rest of it. So obviously the bones of the building must be still pretty good. It's just the trying to bring everything up to scratch for the modern world that we live in. And I also found it interesting, Frank, that Judith was a bit shy of making, or Minister Collins, to be more correct, was a bit shy of committing herself about the questions around China and the Navy sailing with the IDF. What was your take, Frank?
Yeah, yeah. They have this unfortunate. I presume they're trying to keep their trade going with China without any interruptions. Or I did see on the news this morning that someone's in trouble with the Chinese embassy. But I'll have to read the rest of that later on. Yeah, I just don't know why they don't call a spade a spade. I mean, so the Chinese they will do it to us. But as I said, I think it's the trade problem, the trade side of it that they're scared of.
Yep, don't want to lose all those dollars that keep the country afloat. And I think as someone has mentioned, I think I saw an article, can't remember where, this week, where firstly we were rated as the journalist or whoever, a third world country struggling. All the good people apparently have packed their bags and gone to Australia, and we're the flotsam and jetsam that's left behind to keep the country afloat. So it's interesting. Certainly now too, with not only the ADF, the Australian Defence Force, trying to recruit our members and offering incentives to get you over there to join up. Also, the police are being incentivised to jump across the ditch. So our country is emptying out, and those of us who are remaining have to deal with what we get dealt with, Frank.
Exactly. Yeah. Another interesting thing that I've been looking at with the item I brought up last week with 3 Squadron being awarded the Solomon Islands General Service Medal and the New Zealand Operational Service Medal.
Yep.
I've been trying to find out whether they were given operational service.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there's nowhere I can find it. So I've put a letter together to NZDF asking them those questions.
Yes.
I'm just interested because if they were awarded operational service, and their job was for their support to the Solomon Islands during 2023 Pacific Games. I've pointed out that from 1966, or when I was there, right up to 72, there was a lot more threats than the Pacific Games. So I'd be interested to see what happens when I get a reply.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Not that I want to begrudge the people of 3 Squadron what they got.
Yep.
I don't want to do that. I just want to make sure that the other 3,000 or 4,000 of us get recognised for our service in the Far East.
And in that vein, I understand that one of our committee members has been asking questions of NZ Defence and some of their reports that they've put out, and put a bit of a bee in the works, stirred up a hornet's nest, as it were, to get some answers. So that'll be interesting to see. So watch this space. We'll have something for you when it's when it all unrolls or unfolds and the OIA is eventually answered.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see their timeline because we've got other problems with regards to that.
Yeah,
it won't be within the OIA time limit.
yeah, and that's the same with I think was it you who asked Chris Pink about the timeline to review the definition of a veteran and so on, and there was a lot of oh, we're not going to give you a timeline. We intend to do this and we intend to do that. So there was no real commitment. It's like it's on the radar, folks, but don't expect anything soon.
Yeah. So just after receiving that from one of our members, I got a copy of it as well. So I've been actually reading the working group's document again. So it'll be, I'll take a bit more care reading it this time.
Well, there you go. So you see, your committee is doing things. It just doesn't appear that way when we're sitting here having a chat on a Wednesday. So I think that's about it. I'll just yes, don't forget the
sorry. One thing you mentioned that we're after a member of the RNZAF to join us.
Yes.
We need someone to join in every Wednesday morning who served with the Royal New Zealand Air Force. If you've got a minute or half an hour or so on Wednesday morning, contact us. We'd like to have you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, certainly for the commentary on the state of NZ Defence and the fact that we've got only a couple of transport aircraft available between the 757 and the C-130 currently, it'd be interesting to have a person who's worked in the RNZAF to have their viewpoint of the now and the then between their service and what's currently going on. So
it'd be good if we could get someone that's recently just left.
Even better.
Yeah.
All right. So and just a shout out to those from the Green Machine. If you're coming down to Canterbury for the 50th anniversary of the 2nd 1st Battalion, Friday morning prior to the march through the city with bayonets bared and drums beating, there is the coffee day at Wigram Air Force Museum. So that kicks off at about 10 o'clock. If you're there 9:30, not so bad. And then you've got to be at, I think it's the Town Hall car park around 11:30 before the march into the city. So there you go. We look forward to seeing you, and I'm sure there's plenty of other gatherings happening around the weekend for those of you who are coming down. I understand there's about 500 people who registered, so it's a bit of a shindig. Frank, crossing the bar.
Right, well, we have 2 that have crossed the bar. D1506166R, Stephen Alexander, commonly known as Scotty or Rusty. He was a Royal Navy submariner, crossed the bar on the 17th of June 2024, and a private cremation has been held for Stephen. 11557 Rusco Colin Walter David, commonly known as Nick, Royal New Zealand Navy. He was a mechanical engineer. He died peacefully on the 21st of June 2024 at North Shore Hospital, and a private cremation is to be held. Please accept our condolences to the families and friends of those sailors.
Thank you, Frank. 44020, formerly Lance Corporal August Michael Koa, known as Guan Guan, ex-RNZIR Victor 5 Vietnam. We mentioned him last week, and it was just a matter of getting some more detail, including his service number, so we can pay our respects to him as a former serviceman. And I understand he went on and either worked with the corrections in court security or something like that, or the Justice Department in that area. The second one is surname Roberts. Tahe was the first name, known as Tai. Joined the New Zealand Army as an RF cadet on the 9th of January 1968, and served in the National Service Training Unit, 1 Battalion Depot, 1 RNZIR between 1971 to 1973, and WTD in Wairuru. In post of service, he was involved with youth training, as well as completing a Bachelor of Arts at Canterbury University. And we offer our condolences to those who passed and to their families. And if you need some support or to negotiate your way through Veterans Affairs or whomsoever, give us a call and we can put you in touch with someone to help. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them, lest we forget.
Thanks for joining us. Just a little reminder from the first article of the day. There is a gap. There appears to be a gap in the system for those who have served in the Far East between post-Vietnam War on through to 1989, as to access to service numbers and things like that. So that information, if you have it or have access to old journals or diaries where it's stored, by all means, and you find or become notified of someone who's passed away, let someone know the details of that person's service if you can do that. So
yeah, it's pretty important if you can get their number.
Yes.
We're very fortunate in the Navy side of it that we have a complete list of every person who serves, service number, and the dates they joined and everything, and including the reserves.
All right.
So we're very fortunate to have that list.
Excellent. I'm sure the information's there. It's just not centralized. I mean, I know for the Vietnam veterans, there's the Flinkenberg list.
Yeah.
That appears on the government Vietnam War website. So that's there. But there's nothing kind of post that. And I know for the Malayan veterans, some of the battalions have got their own nominal rolls of the people who served, and do have information about those who've once they've left the jobs and things that they've done. So that's all good information. I'm sure it's located somewhere for those who served in Singapore and in the Far East. It's got to be there. We just need to find a process to access it all. And it's I think it's quite important to us to be able to pay our respects, notifying the people who have passed. So thank you. Thanks for joining us. Have a safe week. If you're on the East Coast, remember, don't be afraid to give someone from the RSA network a yell if you need some assistance, either right at the moment or post the event. You may need some support in some way, because I understand the old, seas are up and the rivers are up. Things could be a bit dire, so don't be afraid to yell out for help. And even if you're not in that area and you do have some issue of some sort, health issues or whatever, pick up the phone, ring someone, ring the local RSA. If not, make contact with us, send us an email, send us a comment on Facebook or something, and we'll see what we can do to help. Frank.
Right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will. And look after yourselves in the meantime.